life like we live is a blessing for me. So maybe dreams should be on me. Cause I'm having a wonderful day. Hey, hey, I'm having a wonderful day. This life like we live is a blessing for me. So maybe dreams should be on me. Cause I'm having a wonderful day. Hey, hey. What's up, good people? What's up, Moroccan Moors? What's up, those of you who still acknowledge yourselves as black? You may hear something going on behind me right now. I'm printing out the United States Charter, the United Nations Charter. Welcome to Live at 5, presented by Peep Game TV. As usual, our mission is to uplift fallen humanity, beginning with one person, one family, one neighborhood, one city, one state at a time. My main man, 100 grand, Big Moz. Hopefully he should be back soon. Spoke to him today. He got some things going on. Want to wait a little bit until we get, a few more people on the line. And as I said, if you hear something going on in the back, that's just the printer. Go ahead and let that go through. I didn't want to stop it because I definitely want to get the charter of the United Nations Charter. And that's something that we as Moroccan Moors, that's an obligation and a necessity for us to become a part of. I'm sure most of you are aware of what's going on in Gaza with Israel, basically, and Palestine. Israel is a recognized state with the United Nations. So therefore, it don't want Gaza or basically Palestine to become a part of the United Nations. They basically want to keep them the way that America has us as black people. They want to keep them under their jurisdiction and under their control so that they have power to dictate their life, basically. This is what happens when you're being governed by another nationality. People other than your nationality, they don't completely have your best interest at heart. What they have at heart is what they can get out of you as a people. What you can do for them, not basically what they can do for you. That's basically what you have when you have what you have with Palestinian, and they saying that, the Muslims basically are the terrorists and the Jews and the Christians are upright. And when you look at history and when you look at the Moroccan history, the Moorish history, you realize that what happened to our ancestors they were conquered by the Christians. And once they were conquered by the Christians, that's when life as they knew it changed, which ultimately changed life as we know it today. Behind Christianity and Judaism, it has usurped Islam, usurped it, and made it where people look at Muslims and even Muslim countries as terrorists when it's about human rights. Now, I don't know if you've been watching the news and you see that a lot of students are being arrested for standing up for Palestine, for Gaza. They call it Hamas. They're standing up because they're saying that these people are human too. And they are being arrested because America believes that everyone should be on the side of the Israel, which supposedly America, you have the right of freedom of speech and the right to express your freedom and your thoughts. Everyone doesn't have to agree with Israel. My thing is the whole concept about raising up the 43 more states to make it 50 states is to start to restore humanity. When you have people in power that doesn't respect other humans' rights, then that's when you have a problem. When you have a people who specifically utilize their governmental power to control the actions of people's human rights, then that government is not doing the job for the people. And many countries fight for just human rights, just natural human rights. And those of you whom acknowledge yourself as Americans must realize that America is not being fair to people in other parts of the world. Because if you see that other people are being murdered, specifically those from Palestine, Gaza, if you want to call it, are being slaughtered and murdered, families and children, wouldn't you want those people to be safe as well? No people should be slaughtered. No people should be made of genocide for another people. When it comes to war and someone, I would say America supporting a war that is basically taking away, you know, human rights. Like who decides who should live and who should die? Who decides who is right and who is wrong when it comes to a war? America still has its own issues that it hasn't worked out with people here in America. So America doesn't have the moral authority to be reaching out and helping other countries fight other countries based on their immorality that they have had towards those of us who have been acknowledged as black. They have still not shown equal rights to those of us who acknowledge ourselves as black. And we, as the Moors, who acknowledge ourselves as black, who are really what we call Moroccan subjects, we, as a people, have an obligation to reestablish who we are. And we have a lot of, well, what we have is 1% of our culture when it comes to entertaining and athletes, where they are promoted, like BET, the BET Awards, when they say Black excellence, and you hear about Black excellence. Now, these are entertainers. These are individuals, 1% of our population of a people. They're most of us, the 85% of us who acknowledge ourselves as black, are working class people, are not entertainers, are not athletes. We're working or we are self-employed people. So what is being used is the 1% to keep our mindset distracted with what we're saying, black excellence. But when we talk about what's going on with us as so-called black people, there's a lot of disconnection. There's a lot of disenfranchised. There's a lot of issues that we have when it comes to us as a people. My goal, and hopefully your goal is too, is to realize that a lot of the issues that we face are connected to whom we identify as. Because status, political status, makes a difference. When we talk about status of an entertainer versus a working class person, or a person that makes $100,000 versus a person who makes $40,000, this is status. This is financial status. However, even with financial status, we as a people still lack political status. Our political status is weak. So, therefore, when we get opportunities, they're based on what is basically we have to work extra hard for. We have to go through different hoops. But ultimately, what happens is we end up in situations where we don't have full control of the situations. And that's due to not having our political power. Our political power will be able to help us maneuver in a manner that will be beneficial to all of us. And you may hear something in the background. As I said earlier, it's the printer. I'm printing out the Charter of the United Nations, which is something that, as a people, it will be to our benefit to become a part of it, to be a part of the United Nations. This way, when we have issues with America, we don't have to exactly go to America. We go to the United Nations. I believe it's 192 other countries that are a part of it, that so that we can be able to maneuver. And the difference between us and all other people that you hear that are, for example, when it comes to Hamas and Israel, the difference between us is we're not trying to carve off separate land from America. We're not trying to do that. We are here to share the land and cohabitate with America. It's not about us trying to push America out. All it's about is us being able to coexist with America, but on our terms rather than on America's terms. For over 200 years, we have been, as a people, operating on America in the United States government terms. And now that we know who we are and we have an opportunity to reestablish what was hidden or what was pushed aside based on us identifying as someone else, now we have the opportunity to reestablish that by reestablishing who we are and accepting our rightful place as Moroccans in the land of Morocco and reestablish the Moroccan Empire. That is the ultimate goal that we are pursuing. And it's going to take some hard work, it's going to take some discipline, and it's going to take us being competent. It's going to take us being um, motivated. It's going to take us being determined not to fall back into habits that has caused us to be at a disadvantage. What we are striving to do here and what our goal is as a people is to unify, but not only to unify, it's to be in political power, to reestablish our political power by having our own government. This is the only way to reestablish political power. Without political power, we can accomplish certain things, but it's always going to be a limitation to how far we can go and how much we are capable of doing or allowed to do. Because remember, laws determine what you do and what you can't do. And the people who write the laws get the chance to dictate how much and how far individuals who don't write the laws can go. That's just what it is. Why do you think the United States of America is so hell bent on those us remaining black, us remaining African American, us remaining American, us remaining people of color? Because Indian, Moorish American, anything that's connected to America gives America the political power and the legal power and the authority over us. And what we have found and what we have realized, I'm pretty sure if you're like me, we have realized that America and the United States having authority on over us limit our productivity, limit what we can do as a people. As I've mentioned before, I'm pretty sure every one of you who are watching pay some type of insurance. And you pay that insurance to people that don't look like you. And when you file, if you ever had to file a claim, you realize that they penalize you for filing a claim. So this is something that as black people, as Americans, we won't be able to get control over that. Because my personal belief is, why don't we own our own insurance companies? Why don't we insure ourselves? As far as automobiles, houses, and life insurance, all of this money that is put out goes to sometimes other countries like England, uh, you know, London, different countries, European countries that we are paying, and we're not being able to become financially independent. We won't ever completely be financially independent as a people. We can be financially independent individually. Many of us are, and many of us are striving to be financially independent. However, in order to be financially independent as a people, it's going to require us to reestablish those 40, 43 more states. That's what it's going to require. And it's difficult for many of us to even phantom being able to control and to reestablish our own government. It's difficult for many of us to even visualize that because we've been being governed by the United States and under the jurisdiction of America for so long. To many of us, don't even be. It's difficult for us to see that we're even capable of being able to govern ourselves and being able to be independent of America, though America is a part of where we at. It's difficult for many of us because many of us spend time talking about the problems that we have rather than striving to come up with solutions of how to solve these problems. Yes, we all have problems. We all have to pay bills. We all need food to eat. We all need some type of transportation. We all have family members that we want to help or need help from. So at the end of the day, with all of these everyday things going on, we don't have the luxury to just say we can only do one or the other. It's up to us to strive to be able to multitask at this point by taking care of our everyday responsibilities while being able to find out what it's going to take to do some studying to be able to reestablish the other 43 states so we can have the United States of Morocco rather than be acknowledged by the United States of America. I mean, for me, as a youngster, I didn't feel comfortable saluting the red, white, and blue flag. I never felt comfortable saluting that flag. So when it comes to saluting a flag, wouldn't it be better to have a flag that represents you, that you're comfortable with, and have a state that represents you, that you're comfortable with, that you can look at, that you know that the laws that were put together with you in mind? Wouldn't that be much better than being a part of a state that was put together when our ancestors was here, that didn't even care about our ancestors, that was put together to basically defy our ancestors? We all have knowledge of laws that were put together against so-called black people, where so-called black people had to fight for equal rights, for civil rights, for human rights, had to fight. So don't we got to think about why, out of all the people in the country, that those of us who acknowledge ourselves as black had to fight for voting rights, for equal rights, for being able to sit at a counter, to being able to ride in the front of the bus. We must think about that. We must think about the reason behind that. And they was telling us it was basically because we were black. To some degree, yeah, because being black didn't entitle us to being able to be treated as human beings. Being black don't entitle us to be able to vote as human beings. Being black, African American, and people of color, it's not a legal political standing. This is what's been happening to us, and this is what has to be addressed. This is what we need to address, because we've been thinking it's just been our skin complexion that has been holding us back and that has been causing the discrimination and the separation. No, it's the actually identifying ourselves as something that doesn't have legal standing. Identifying ourselves as black people has been the problem, has been what was holding us back. Look at it. Whenever you go to fill out an application, they asking you this, that, and the other. But how many times, depending on how long you've been alive, how many times have your nationality changed? We are the only people pretty much that has been numerous type of nationalities or ethnicities, and our ethnicity changed. So now they have America and the U.S. government has tried to lock us down to being black, only to keep us under their jurisdiction and only to keep us from being able to research how far we go back. Because when you look at that title or that uh, identification, it's limited, and it comes with limitations. Just the idea, because Many times we sit and we have discussions and we say, "Oh, what if they doing this to us because we black?" Yeah, they doing it because we acknowledging ourselves as black. That's why they're able to do what they're doing to us in America and as the government, because we acknowledging ourselves as being something that is not recognized legally. Sure, you tell me where you can go. Look your whatever state you in. Look your constitution up, and where does it say black people? You know what I mean? And African American. Most people who claim two lands was born in one land and moved to the other land. We were born here. So how did we become African American? When we were born here, how did we develop the name of African American when many of us were born here? This is things that we have. This is things that we need to think about, because we just take that on without really thinking about it and really looking at it from a view that, why is they calling us African Americans? Why? The reason being, because by calling you African American, they're making you and me look to Africa for our land, when, yeah, we have people from Africa because we are all over the world as Moroccan Moors. However, the reality is we belong here. This is our land. And we have more rights than any other people who have come to this land. We have more rights. Why? Because we were the first people to inhabit this land, not as black people, not as Indians, not as people of color, not as Africans Americans, but as Moroccan Moors. That's what we inhabited this land as, our people, our ancestors, and not as slaves. That's not who we are. That's who we were created to be, along with a mindset and along with conditions that come under that mindset. How do you think that we who call ourselves black be in certain type of conditions and certain type of positions that it seems like no matter how hard we work as a people, we still can't seem to get over the hump. We still can't seem to get to a point where we can totally unify like everyone else, and we seem to be on the outside looking in rather than the inside looking out. When it comes to being able to do the things that we see other nationalities of people do. Why? Why do we have that difficulty? We have that difficulty because they come from a land. They are tied to a land that identifies them. The land that we're tied to don't identify us. The land that we've been identifying with don't identify with us. That's the reason we've been going through what we've been calling racism, which has really been colonism disguised as racism, because America and the United States government wants to keep us being black. Because they keep us black, they keep us back. That's the reality. At the end of the day, it's sensitive to many of you when you hear black, you feel, because you're so connected to it emotionally. It's it's beyond emotion. Being black is beyond emotions. It's only a description that describes our skin color, but it doesn't say who we are. Black is an adjective. We know people, place, and things are nouns. So we know that there's something else other than black that we connect to. So if we know that there's something else to black that we connect to, then let's start reconnecting to who our ancestors were, to who we are, and that's Moroccan Moors. That's who we are. And right now, until we reestablish our 50 states and be able to declare our independence from America, and declare our declaration to the state that we belong to, we are just Moroccan subjects. We're just Moroccan subjects. So, with that being said, our time has ran out. I appreciate you all for taking the time to listen and share this with other people. Do your research. Look into the charter, the United Charters, the peace treaty, peace and friendship. As I said, go to my page. If you can go to my page, Facebook, Peep Game TV, live at 5. Stroll down, and you can see some of the documentation that I have up there. I'll post more, but you can also go to the AMPAC study sessions and start just looking at those. And when Brother Bay go through it, Brother J Bay go through it, he gives you what you can go look up for yourself. So I'm not just here talking to be talking. I'm here asking and pleading with you guys so that we can be able to reestablish what has been taken from our ancestors. With that, I come to an end. I wish you and your families love, peace, and happiness. And I love you all like I love myself. Until tomorrow, I say peace.